It's day 3 of the main event.
Yeah, I actually feel awful.
This is where we make $0 or $15,000.
Everybody take a breath.
It's super important to make it to day 4 and guarantee ourselves a nice score. But we gotta work really hard on getting a lot of chips. We're trying our best to win $10 million. You already know that my friend won it, so... We had a deep run though, right? A lot of fun hands, that's what you're here for. Keep watching. I'm coming into a really good table. Seems like there's a lot of recreationals, not many people I recognized, and I have a lot more chips than everyone else. Usually in this type of format, people play really scared in the beginning because they want to get a feel of the table, which makes me want to play really aggressive and put a lot of pressure early on and utilize the unknown factor. No one knows who I am. I obviously have a monkey around my neck. Folds me on the button, and I have 10 deuce of hearts. 2 of my opponents on the left are weak recreationals that have basically confirmed it by chatting a bit and saying this is like the first time they play a 10k in a while. So I'm opening pretty wide in this spot. Then deuce suited, easy open. The big blind calls, and we were in the middle of a conversation about him like being sucked out on recently, picking up the hand on his phone as we're playing this hand. This is a bit relevant because I thought it was some information that to keep in mind. The flop comes ace 8-7. I have nothing, but it's a range c-bet on this board for me. I go for a 50% bet. He calls really quick. At this point, I'm kind of expecting a lot of weak ace-x, a lot of weak pairs. This type of player would like check raise ace queen ace jack a lot here if he has that. So I wasn't really worried about that. Turn is a 9 of clubs, I believe. Now there's 2 flush draws out there. I have just a straight draw, and while he's checking, he still goes and reaches for his phone. And honestly, I really thought this is like a sign of weakness. And I decided to shove for nearly 170% of the pot on the turn. And the reason I did that is because I expect him to fold all his really weak ace-x here. I expect him to fold a lot of pairs with straight draws, a lot of pairs with flush draws as well, because no one really wants to call it off with a draw in these situations. I block straights, which is pretty important, I guess, but I'd rather have better hands for sure. This was like an exploit play just because I thought, you know, no way this guy would actually like have a strong hand if he's pulling out his phone in the middle of a hand. I was very wrong. The guy turned 2 pair, so he's extremely strong. I didn't really care though because I still have a lot of chips here, and if anything, like it's not gonna change much in my game plan. But luckily, sometimes your straight draws get there, and bingo, bango, jango, there comes the jack on the river to save us. So unfortunately, I knock out the guy with a very, very lucky hand.
680,000 going into level. Not even sure what the level
12,
is.
12.
Level 12. It's like 680,000.
13. We're on level 100. I don't know.
Some level, yeah. We have like 200 big blinds. It's going good. And I'm going to stay here and make sure they don't color up my stack and just give me 1 stack of greens again. Because I hate that. It's so annoying.
Dude, it was so sad, your stack.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, it was so
went from
sad.
like big jumbo man to just little shrimp.
That's way cooler. Keep it.
I'm fighting. I'm staying here.
Yeah, the whole time.
Where's the floor? Bring it.
We have a new player on our left. I've been chatting with him a lot. Really nice guy. He plays professionally, but told me that this tournament is one of the biggest he's ever played. He usually plays $500 to $1,000 buy-ins, and that it means a lot for him to min cash this. He raises under the gun, 2.5 big blinds, and the button calls, and I look down at king queen of spades and I call as well. Flop comes the 8 of clubs, 3 of spades, 4 of diamonds. We're 3-way. And I have king queen of spades. I check. Under the gun bets 1/3. Usually shouldn't be betting this type of size on this board. He should be kind of going big or very small. 1/3 is kind of like the typical c-bet that a lot of people do here, but it's okay. Button folds, and I'm not gonna check raise this hand because I dominate a lot of his weaker hands actually, like queen, king queen, king jack, queen 10 suited. King 10 suited, all those are going to be the hands that he opens and then c-bets here, and we don't mind keeping them in. We can just check call, improve to a pair. We can pick up some backdoor flush draws, and we can represent a lot of runouts because we have a lot of middling cards usually while he doesn't have money. He doesn't have any of the sets. He doesn't have any of the 2 pairs. So we have technically a range advantage here on some runouts. The turn is the ace of clubs. I check and he checks back. This was a bit unexpected because the ace is a card that gets overbarreled in these spots, to be honest. And I was expecting him to bet a lot and I was just going to give up. And then the river is the deuce of clubs. So the backdoor flush draw got there. And I actually go for a 150% bet on the river here with king high. This is a really good spot for me to actually value bet a lot of my 4x and 3x of clubs. I have a lot of straights as well. Like I have all the 6-5, all the 7-5 suited, 6-5 offsuit. I'm gonna have 5-4 suited, 5-3 suited, that river to straight. So I actually have a lot of value here. Our opponent starts tanking, and while he was tanking, the player on the right, as you can see, actually nudges my leg. And I had an injury, a very bad hip injury from sports. And when he nudged my leg, I went into like this shock. I don't know how to explain it. It was a lot of pain, and I was trying to just like keep a straight face because I don't want to react in pain and scream or something. And my heartbeat like just shot up because I wasn't expecting this random pain. And my opponent saw that and made a correct read that my heartbeat is out of whack, but he thought it was related to the hand. He eventually takes forever and ends up calling me with 10s with the 10 of clubs. I think I kind of get what he was trying to, you know, the way he was thinking about the hand. I personally think it's a very easy fold for him because I have a lot of value bets here. Like I'm even going to have 2 pairs that go this size because I'm not really worried about many flushes that he has. A lot of them would actually barrel the turn. So I think it was kind of like a blessing in disguise for him that the guy on the other side of me just knocked my knee and put me in a lot of pain and just he managed to hero call. But good for him. He actually has it in him to make really good calls and listen to his reads, and that's important. You got to do stuff like that in this type of tournament. Welcome to our new nemesis of day 3. So as you know, every day I play, there's always like 1 or 2 guys that we battle against a lot, and this one was a very special opponent. This guy came to play. I've been playing really aggressive. I have a lot of chips. We're nearing the bubble, and he has a decent amount of chips as well, but he's been playing a bit passive, I would say. He's not re-raising me a lot, mostly just flatting, and I haven't really gotten to see showdown, but I can tell he's getting a bit out of hand. I look down at Jack 8 suited in the hijack, and I min-raise. He calls on the button. The flop comes Jack 10-3, and I have a backdoor flush draw and top pair. I go for my standard c-bet of 1/3. Our opponent actually raises. This was a bit unexpected, but my bet itself is a bit unexpected as well. Usually we should be checking a lot here, but when I know that the guy's playing too many hands, it's an easy value bet with top pair. And when he min raises, I know he's honestly like full of crap. He's playing really, really loose and clicky. So I call. The turn is the 6 of clubs. This is not a great card for me, but I still feel very confident in my top pair. I check call a bet of 52,000. Very, very standard. The river is the 8 of clubs, so I actually improved to 2 pair. And I decided to lead for 1/3 of the pot on the river. And this is mostly because I knew this guy was generally reacting to aggression with more aggression. And I really expected him to just do something really unnecessary here. And if he has a hand that maybe I sucked out on a river, like Queen Jack, King Jack, or something like that, he'll always call. I'll always get value from that when he would probably check it back. But it's more that I'm trying to target his random air balls that are just gonna go for like some spazzy like min raise on a river or like some crazy bluff. He takes forever, and as you can see, he actually kind of pump fakes a bluff on the river. It looked like he wanted to go all in and just thought better of it. I was gonna instantly call because I just had too much information on this player, the way he's playing. Like I know he's capable of just doing something crazy. There's no way I would ever fold 2 pair there. In the end, he folds, and he didn't know what I had, but like I feel like he's the type of player that thinks that somehow I bluffed him there, or like I'm just trying to battle with him. So keep that in mind because a lot of interesting things happen later on. We are up against our nemesis again. I have 5-3 of hearts on the button, and we're getting closer to the money bubble. In this spot, what I was planning to do is actually put a lot of pressure in position on these players because they really don't want to bust on the bubble. I have around 4 times more chips than they do. I think they were all around 40 to 45 big blinds deep, so we have a lot of room to, you know, bully them. Our nemesis snap calls from the big blind. The flop is 10-6-3, 2 diamonds and the 10 of hearts. I have bottom pair and a couple of backdoors. I go for my standard 1/3 bet here. And when I say standard, it's mostly because of the opponent I'm playing against. He check raises kind of on the large side, and this was pretty interesting because this is the type of player that has been just putting a lot of chips in the pot unnecessarily. I expect this check raises here to be a lot of gut shots, a lot of flush draws, a lot of middle pairs even. Like, he's the type of player that has like queen 6 here and he's like check raising to see where he's at. I also think he's the type of player that check raises like 10-7, 10-8 and would actually fold to a shove because we're very close to the bubble. I block set a bottom set. I block a couple of suited combos that have 2 pair. And facing the check raise, I really felt like with my read on this player, if I shove here, he actually is going to fold a lot, even really strong draws. And he's definitely going to fold some of his weakest 10x. And I wasn't really worried about him calling too much, just the way he was playing. Unfortunately, I was very wrong. He defended 6-3 offsuit pre-flop, so no matter how big I go pre-flop, it looked like he just wanted to play. He flopped 2 pair, and I was pretty much drawing dead. This made me realize, like, this type of player just doesn't care about the bubble, but in a weird way. Like, he's very loose pre-flop, but doesn't understand that, like, the more hands you play on the bubble, the more likely you put yourself at risk, right? So I have to keep that in mind because I have to adjust how I play against him now that I see that he's never folding. So that was a punt. I wasn't very happy about it. The way the guy was playing, I really wouldn't be surprised if he was going to fold around 95% of the time here when he check raises, just because he was just way too aggressive and always clicking it back, always wanting to be the aggressor and control the pot. We are around 50 away from the bubble now, and I have a lot more chips than everyone on the table except against my nemesis. We've been raising a lot and just winning pots pre-flop. The table knows that I'm very capable of like getting super out of line, doing crazy stuff, but I've also had it from time to time. So I have the maniac image, and we have to make sure with a maniac image not to get too out of line, but you have to put people in tough situations. So I'm basically raising really wide from all positions. Everyone's folding. Everyone really wants to make the money. We are around 15 away from the money. The main cash is $15,000. The buy-in is $10,000. It doesn't matter that's only 1.5 buy-ins. What matters is that $15,000 is a lot of money. I look down at 10-9 offsuit in the cutoff, and I raise 2.5 blinds because the big blind has around, I believe, 6 big blinds. I expect her to fold a lot because she's very close to the money. She can actually sneak into the money. There's around, you know, still 100 tables running or more. The likelihood that someone is going to bust before she does is very high, and then she has a very good chance of making 15,000. Unfortunately, she decides to go all in really quickly with ace queen of diamonds. I have 2 live cards. I can't fold with the price I'm getting. I call, and I get pretty lucky. I hit trips on the turn and knock her out. I felt pretty bad, honestly, because she was super nice. We talked a lot, and I didn't really want to bubble anyone in this tournament. I always feel genuinely bad about that.
How does it feel like ruining that woman's life?
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually feel
How dare
awful.
you?
It's cruel.
I was cool.
I like folded the one before to make sure she survives, but I mean, I'm not folding for like 15k more.
Yeah.
The best player.
Hopefully she wins the lotto or something, honestly.
Yeah, she might.
I want her to go buy a ticket and just like come back here and she's like, fuck you, I made 10 million already. And the min cash in the main event, which is $15,000. I'm triple eight on my table, but there's a couple of short stacks, and we're not gonna be that asshole dick piece of shit that's gonna like tell everyone like, hey, act quicker, because 15,000 is a lot of money. hopefully we actually make it to the money before the end of the day, because I don't want to stay here for any extra time.
A really fun hand here that probably goes down as one of my favorite hands of all time in the main event. I look down at ace-4 offsuit and the hijack, and I raise 2.5 big blinds. Our opponent, Nemesis, on the button instantly calls. Now, before I get to the flop, I have to say one thing. There was a spot earlier where I raised under the gun, and he was under the gun too, and he snap called with ace-3 offsuit. And I know this because we got the showdown, and he showed ace-3 offsuit. And I was like, okay, wow, this guy is just playing anything against me in position. So when he calls in this specific situation, I'm very aware that this guy is just probably playing any two suited cards against me. So I need to adjust my strategy. The flop comes king, queen, 5 with the king and queen of spades. I have ace, deuce, correction, sorry, with the deuce of spades. In general, this is not a bet ever, but when your opponent is flatting around 60% of his range on the button, he just has a lot of air. He's flatting 8-7 off, 9-7 off, and a lot of garbage, and we have a range advantage here in general. So I go for a relatively big c-bet of 50%. He instantly calls. At this point, I'm mostly giving up on a lot of runouts because I know that he doesn't have a lot of those like pure air balls, 9-8 off type hands. Or, you know, we're not really sure about that. The turn is the ace of hearts. Actually improve to top pair. The ace of hearts puts out 2 flush draws in this scenario. So in general, against other opponents, we would play this hand extremely different. Oh, if he bets the ace, it's because, you know, he's representing the ace. There's no way he has an ace. He has that type of mentality. So I bet 50% on the turn, and he actually min raises. And this was extremely confusing because I did not really understand what to do in this spot. I was like thinking, can he have 2 pairs? Very unlikely, because he's 3-betting ace king, ace queen for sure pre-flop. He could have ace 5 offsuit and suited, but the way he was playing, he also just gonna have a lot of these like random flush draws or really weak hands that are just trying to see where they're at, or just try to get me to fold my hand and not like bluff him off on the river. So against the min raise, I'm definitely gonna call. Now the river is the jack of diamonds, so all the flush draws miss. I check, and our opponent goes for a 33% bet on the river, the same exact amount that he raised to on the turn. This was really odd. The jack of diamonds is kind of good because it actually eliminates some of the hands I was worried about. So like if I thought on a turn he has jack 10 and he's just trying to get as much money in as possible, it's less likely now because the jack showing on the river makes it, you know, a lot less combos that he can have. But I really couldn't think of what bluffs he has here. I was extremely confused. I'm getting a really good price against pretty much anyone. I'm folding in this spot, but this guy is just different. He's built different. I take a long time, and I noticed that he started getting a bit nervous. I also noticed that his stack was less than the pot, and this type of player would definitely go all in on a river with a straight. So I actually ruled out straights on a river. Then I was starting to think, okay, maybe he can have a set, maybe he can have 2 pairs, but he has too many random hands in his range. A lot of suited cards that are just like bluffing on a river that didn't get their flush draws completed. So I end up calling, and he shows 9-5 offsuit. This blew my mind, to be honest, because, and I said something that was kind of like out of character, but I said, whoa, okay, this guy wants to play. It's a bit rude to the player, but in a way, it's like very disrespectful, I found, of him to just start flatting pretty much without even looking at his cards on the bubble and just thinks that, you know, he can get away with it. He kind of got his hand caught in a cookie jar, and we definitely punished him for it.
1,304 entries. We're paying 1,300 places. Stay at your seat. Don't turn over any all-in calls until...
After our hero call with ace-deuce against our nemesis, not much happened. I was playing extremely aggressive. I ended up chipping up to nearly 880,000 just by winning a lot of small pots, by raising a lot, and people generally just really trying to make the money. The money bubble took over 2 hours, and it was mostly me just winning a lot of pots, people folding, me increasing my chips. I put myself in that position by playing really aggressive early on in the day, and it paid off because we just got so many uncontested pots and got into day 4 with quite a lot of chips. I'm really glad that I did not bubble the World Series main event. We all end up making the money. We all make it to day 3, no one from our table busted, and I have quite a lot of chips going into day 4, hoping that I continue this unbelievable run of just building up my stack, tripling it nearly every day. And we're guaranteed $15,000. Next video, you're gonna see me play one of the craziest hands I ever played against Dan Smith.